The following is a special presentation of Tony Curry Radio. From hot dogs to cool kitties, this is Darkside of the Pooch.
Welcome back to another Dark Side of the Pooch. He is Dr. Rab Stewart, the owner of the Rossbridge Animal Hospital, 2056, what number? See what happens when we're not ready? 205-281-0301. No, 205-208-0301.
Nailed it.
208-0301. See what happens when we get our numbers all messed up. 208-0301. I do know it's the Rossbridge Animal Hospital, Rossbridge Vet on Twitter, now known as X, also on Facebook, and of course, RossbridgeVet.com is your website. How you doing, brother? Happy holidays to you. This is what happens on the holidays. Everyone's flying by the seat of our pants. We don't know when we're recording shows. You know
what people want? People want to see they not necessarily the warts, because we don't have any warts here.
No,
people want to see real life. You know, they just do. They want to laugh. They want to cry. They want to experience what it's really like in between those headphones.
They always talk about. You know, when we're, and I'm sitting here looking up information as we go, so I know what I'm talking about. But people want raw. You know, they want the rawness. That's why people sometimes they don't mind a little cussing. They want to hear people talking for real, man. That's what they want to do. So
it is.
This is very interesting since we're talking about this now. Have you ever let loose at your office? I mean, you are a veterinarian. You're a Christian man. You carry yourself extremely well. But have you ever lost your brain at work? Maybe not so much in front of customers, but maybe in front of some of your servicemen and women.
I have never lost it in front of a client.
That's good.
But I'll kind of do a little offshoot here. Anyone out there that is listening that has a job or has ever had a job knows that at some point you have to deal with someone whose expectations may not be where they need to be for whatever reason. And when we do have a situation like that, where because of no fault of our own, a client is upset. Like, for example, everyone knows we had some supply chain issues with COVID and after COVID. And there were some clients that their pet is on a specific diet for a specific medical condition. And the supply chain interrupted that food. And we had some clients get very upset.
Really?
And and you know, they couldn't understand that it wasn't our fault. There's literally nothing we can do. It's not like we didn't order the food.
How could they not understand that? I mean, you don't make the food there at your office.
Because the expectations of these people were not in check.
Yeah.
They didn't have control over their emotions.
Yeah.
So there are times where we have certain policies in place. For example, you can't drop a pet off unless they've had certain vaccines. Sure. And it's been that way for a long, long time. You know, people are have been getting a taste of that with COVID, but in the pet industry, it's been that way for as long as I've been in it.
Yeah.
You know, you cannot drop your pet off unless it's had certain vaccines. And I've had clients that just say, I'm not going to do it. You're basically just mandating me to give you money. And, you know, they really,
which is not true.
Behind.
Which is not true.
You're behind in the office.
Yeah. You're trying to protect the people that work at your office. See, that's why you have rabies shots. And I brought that up. You know, I went to get my dog groomed. And I didn't realize that I hadn't taken it to Rossbridge Animal Hospital. I've been getting my notifications from the Rossbridge Animal Hospital. I've been blowing them off. They've been going in my spam folder. And if I had paid attention, I would have realized that Rainer hadn't had her rabies shots back in August. And so when I went to get his haircut, they're like, no, you can't get a haircut because he doesn't have his rabies. And I pitched a little hissy fit, and I was like, no, that's true, because if he ends up biting them, then they need to be protected as well. It's not, in that particular case, they're not making any money off me getting rabies shots from you.
Right. But see, the point is that every now and then you have to reel a client back in.
Yeah.
And so I've never lost it in front of a client, although I have been pretty straightforward with them. Like, look, here are the rules, and here's what we can do, and here's what we can't do.
Yeah.
And if your expectations don't line up with what we're offering, then, good luck finding a place that does. But now back to your original question. I've been doing this for almost 15 years. And in my earlier days, there were some things that would get under my skin. And you just have to learn how to do the job. It takes a little bit of getting used to the fact that some of your patients want to kill you.
Yeah.
It's true.
I would give anything to hear you, quote unquote, reel a customer in, because you are so soft spoken. You are so cool. You're impossible to get pissed off at. If anyone knows Dr. Rabb, it's impossible. You're just a nice guy. So for you to reel somebody in, I would pay to see that happen, because you're going to make someone feel bad. I love that.
Well, you just gotta tell them the way it is. And if you can't reach an agreement, then there's the door, and we wish you the best. But there were some times where, a dog, when you're trying to do something and the dog bites you, you have to learn how to accept that.
Sure.
And I think as a young veterinarian, you just have to come to grips with, you can't get your feelings hurt over stuff like that.
Yeah.
And also, the more you work in the profession, the more employees you're going to have, and you're going to have to learn how to deal with them.
Yeah.
We got some dogs barking at each other in the lobby right now.
I know. This is raw. This is great. It's wide open, dude. It's super cool. I absolutely love it. That's a good thing. He's Dr. Rabb, Stewart Rossbridge Animal Hospital. By the way, if you're looking to board your animals, you must have your animals vaccinated, and you must call early. And I'm betting it's probably too late, because we're like within 2 weeks of Christmas. So it's probably getting a little too late to be Amazon. And that's another thing, is people are going to be calling you like the 22nd going, hey, I need my dogs looked at for the last, week of the year. And you're like, that ain't happening.
Hey, we can get you in Christmas 2025.
Okay.
2024, Christmas 2024. You can call us right now and book Christmas 2024, because 23 is booked.
There you go. 2025. So 2024 is booked.
No, I'm kidding. Well, I said 25. I meant 24. 23 is booked. But if you want to book Christmas 24, you can call us.
Okay. Update on a couple things. First of all, if you listened to the show last week, you realized that my dog was peeing on my recliner. It was also peeing on our Christmas tree. I started putting it up in the bathroom. Dude, it took two times, Rainer to the bathroom, and he runs upstairs now and goes straight in that bathroom and lies in the corner of the bathroom. It is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. And I swear he loves it, because he's doing what I'm asking him to do. So he is now sleeping in the bathroom. He does bark in the middle of the night. He whimpers a little bit, makes things kind of difficult for me once in a while. Yes. Oh, it's Xavier wants to say hello. See, this is
come on, Xavier. What you got, man?
Say hello.
Hey.
What's going on?
Tell him that I used to use that little invention I used to use. I used to use that invention.
Oh, yeah. We were talking about an invention. We'll have to talk about that.
Yeah. Tell him I used to use that.
Okay. You used to use the invention?
Yeah, I used to, but not anymore.
All right.
But I hope Santa Fe rebuilds those stuff again, so you guys can use them.
All right. We'll
let you use them. They just got to give me. Santa Fe will let you use them. Just that they'll have to be restored first.
I got you. All right, let me do this show. Well, we're kicking off Christmas early tomorrow. I'm going to take him out of school. We're going to drive to Killen, Alabama, to go see his Fusionex car wash, which we have not done in about 3 or 4 months. It'll be the 4th time we've driven 6 hours round trip to go see a car wash. So that's going to be a little early Christmas gift.
My kids love car washes. Can't say I blame them.
Well, that's, and Santa is not home yet. Lila's going to be at school. So I said, let's get up tomorrow morning at 7:30, and we're driving up to Killen, Alabama. We're going to stop by the big giant rat on the way back. Chucky's. What's it called?
Oh, it's Buc-ee's.
Buc-ee's. Chucky's. Yeah, I'm thinking Chucky's, Chuck E. Cheese. So we'll have that going on. All right. So got the dog, and he is good in the bathroom. The second thing is, and I swear it's funny because ever since we started talking about this, but I swear my dog is starting to cough. He's making some and it sounds just like a cough. It's not like it sounds like a human being is actually coughing in the house. And I looked over and I was like, is that you, Rainer? And so, and I'm trying not to, get too much into it, but I know there's a respiratory thing going on right now. A lot of people are freaking out about it a little bit, he only coughed a couple times, and then it was gone. So I'm not going to bring him in yet, but it was enough of a cough that it sounded very, very strange to hear a dog cough like a human being. Can you give us the updates on this respiratory situation we got going on with our dogs?
We've seen a ton of this stuff, and I don't remember if we mentioned, maybe we did, that my dog has it. And this is the first time.
Really?
Yeah, this is the first time my dog has ever had a respiratory issue in the 12 years that he's been alive.
Wow.
And he's had it for about 4 weeks. We've done 2 different rounds of antibiotics. We've done cough suppressants. But so the bad thing about this is that it's highly contagious. And in some dogs, I think depending on the viral load that they get, it's lasting a while. We've got a few patients that, it's been going on for a few weeks. But so the bad thing is it seems to be very easy to catch. And in some pets, it seems to be lasting a long time, but they are still otherwise normal. They're still eating normally, drinking normally, same amount of energy. So it's not developing into pneumonia. We haven't seen any cases of pneumonia from this. But it seems to be really contagious and very, very easy to catch. So time will tell if Rainer has it, because it's probably, if it's very mild right now, it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah, it's something that needs to be treated. And this is something that popped up, about 4 or 5 months ago out of Oregon or something like that. I don't know. It started with a small group of dogs.
They say it. Yeah, they say it started in the Northwest, but I don't know that this is that, because the reports from up there were that this was almost fatal. It was turning into really bad pneumonia, and lots of dogs are dying.
All it takes is one dog to die from it, and it's fatal. And so then that's when it gets serious. Let me ask you something else. Something that I see that it's really interesting, and a lot of people are touting the conspiracy theory on this about the vaccinations. We talked about 60-something% of dog owners actually believe that the rabies vaccination isn't something that's needed, and it certainly is. It's the efficacy is like 99%, and it's super important. Not only will you not have your veterinarian look after your animal, but it's something that is necessary to have done. But it is funny because now I cannot turn my TV on and not see some type of new vaccine. I saw DVR or DHR or some vaccination for some rhino thing that I was not aware of. That now is gonna, and I'm seeing shingles. I'm seeing shingles, which I didn't know there was a vaccination for. So every time I tune in, some people are like, oh, here we go with the vaccinations. Pfizer's trying to sell vaccinations. Now you go in and you get like 16 different shots, and you're 73 years old. You have to give a vaccine for polio, and you have to have a chicken pox and this, that, and the other. Are there any other vaccinations for our animals that we don't necessarily? I know we can get shots for parvo, and we can do shots for worms, heartworm and stuff like that, but are there any other vaccinations for dogs that we don't get that they probably should have?
There's very few new viruses to vaccinate for. We've been vaccinating for the newest vaccine to come out is influenza. But that's been out for as long as I've been out of school and longer. There are some vaccines that just aren't used a lot because of demographics, location, geography. Like, for example, there's a vaccine for Lyme's disease, but Lyme's disease isn't really prevalent up here. It's way more prevalent in the Northeast. So that's a vaccine that almost every dog up there is going to get. There's other vaccines that, maybe are somewhat effective, but not as effective as we would like. So we may not give that vaccine. Especially for cats. Cats have a vaccine against herpes virus that is a good vaccine, but the efficacy isn't as high as something like rabies. So some practices, may or may not give that one. And there's what we call core vaccines and non-core vaccines.
The herpes is not the herpes we're normally used to, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Good call there.
Just so people know. I know who listens to this radio station. They're like, herpes. Cats have herpes? Oh, syphilis? What, gonorrhea? Fido's got gonorrhea? What's going on? No, explain that real quick.
There may be some people listening that got herpes from a feline.
Don't listen too close to your radio. The tractor seat does not work on Tony Curry Radio.
So it's a different virus. It is not the same. It's not the same thing, that we deal with when we have a crazy night out.
Yeah, there you go. Those crazy nights for sure. Anything else interesting happening at the office that you want to fill me in before I get to an email here? I'm pulling up some emails. I do have an email here for you that you can absolutely love.
We had an interesting dog fight at the end of last week. So I'm going to springboard into a strange wound that dogs get. But so when dogs get in a dog fight, the dog bites, and then the dog pulls. The dog that's the aggressor, it bites, it pulls, and it shakes his head. And so what happens is that the tissue planes separate. So you have the top layer of the skin, then you have the underlying tissue. All of that separates. It's almost like peeling an onion in a way.
That sounds appetizing.
Oh yeah, it's great. And it smells even worse.
Yeah.
Over time. But so because of that, you have a lot of fluid that builds up in between those two. Because if you have two layers that are supposed to be like this, and then they get separated, then the layers are like this. And so fluid will accumulate. And so what we end up having to do in a lot of dogs is put these drains in. We go in, you repair the tissue, but then they have all these latex drains hanging out of them. So we had to do that this week. So if there's anybody out there that has dogs that get in a dog fight, the wounds that you see may just be the tip of the iceberg, and the tissue planes that have separated over time, that top tissue plane is going to be necrotic, start to bruise and die. And so you're going to have that sewn together. So just that's fresh on my mind.
For the most part, do animals fight to the death? Do dogs
I don't
fight
think
to the
that, death? I think that they try to.
They do try to fight to the death.
I think they do, because going for the jugular, that's a real thing. And a lot of dogs are aiming when they're fighting with other dogs, they're aiming for this, this area up here. And the dog that I'm talking about, its wounds were right here. Right. Yeah. I mean, so it's clear that dog was going for here, but it just missed. Yeah, I think they would fight to the death, and fortunately, there are people there usually that break these fights up.
It's funny because I don't think dogs want to fight to the death, do they? I mean, the dogs are like Roadhouse, right? They're trying to be badass dogs. They're trying to be the alpha dog, but they're not trying to kill their mate, right?
I think they are. I think they are.
Are they really?
I think in some cases they are. Now, if it's just like a defensive bite, like a get away from me kind of bite, they're gonna snap and kind of recoil. But these dogs that bite and then continue to be aggressive, that they're looking to cause some real damage.
If you have a couple of dogs, and I have this happen in my house almost every single night, one of my Havanese, which is the smallest dog, always growls at the bigger dog, and I tell him to knock it off. Should I just let him growl it out, work it out, or tell him to knock it off? Because it doesn't do any good.
I don't think, tell him to knock it off. Do you think it helps at all?
No, he's sitting on my lap and he doesn't want Rainer to come up and get any love from me. And so because I'm rubbing his belly and he starts growling, I'm like, knock it off. And I just put him down. I'm like, I'm not doing this. I'm not. It's not a competition.
It might help if you just hearing your voice of any kind might kind of help him snap out of it, but I think that you're going to see more warning signs where you can intervene if you need to.
Okay. This is from Lotrium. Name is Lotrium. And
it sounds like a medicine.
It does sound like, it sounds like I took my Lotrium today in Mountain Brook. Tell Dr. Rab 255 Sands Avenue, Las Vegas, April 19th, 20th, 21st, and 22nd. Phish is playing the Sphere. Man, you're going, aren't you?
So as soon you started saying the numbers,
you
started saying the address, and I was like, all right, where's this going? And then you said Las Vegas, and I knew immediately. So Lotrium, I know exactly where you're coming from, and I have put in. So Phish has a ticket lottery, So you can enter the lottery, and your name may or may not be drawn, and that's just the privilege of buying the tickets.
Yeah.
So I entered the lottery for Saturday and Sunday at the Sphere, and as of right now, the lottery has closed, and we will find out, I think, in 2 days if we're lucky enough to get tickets. And if not,
dude,
we'll
outside like the Fillmore East and Red Rocks, the Sphere, they're saying like it's 10 times better than anything you'll ever see. I mean,
I've heard incredible things.
I had a couple friends of mine saw U2 play out there a couple weeks ago, and they said it's the most amazing venue they've ever seen. It's incredible. It's like overstimuli.
Hey, listen to this. So my pastor, in his sermon Sunday, he told us that he was there and saw U2 last week.
Nice.
And so after the service, I went up to him and I said, "Listen, here's what I got going on. Does it meet the hype? Is the hype real?" And he said, "Absolutely. Absolutely, it is real."
Wow. That's kind of crazy. Yeah, everyone wants to play the Sphere. And I'm sure they're getting paid to do it, but it's getting to the point now where it's almost like a Super Bowl, where I think some bands are actually wanting to play the Sphere just to say they're playing the Sphere. I
saw an article though where that place is totally underwater. Yeah. They fired their CEO.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, all it's got to do is rain a half an inch out there, and everything else is underwater. All right, yeah. I may end up seeing you out there in April. That gives me some time.
Oh, come on. We can fly together.
Okay. All right. Let me see if I can make that happen in 2024. Let me see what I can do. All right. You got anything else new going on?
No, I was actually going to bring the Phish shows up. So thanks to our friend Lotrium and Mountain Brook.
There you go. The phone number 208-0301. I got it right this time. 208-0301. RossBridgeVet.com. You can find them on, of course, the internet. Not to mention Ross Bridge Vet on Twitter, or formerly now as we know as X, and also on Facebook. And we will talk with you next week. Next week will be the week before Christmas. So look forward to talking up with you, man.
Merry Christmas.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Curry Radio.